So, since last few days, we are we are making all out efforts to understand discrete Fourier transform. So, I am sure that none of you must have worked upon the finding out of inverse DFTs of 8 subsequences. Means we had considered the DFT of all DFT with all ones. Are you getting me? So just as a recap, because you have got a very fluctuating memory, we had considered a sequence whose DFT is all ones, or we have considered an 8-point sequence whose DFT is all ones. Then by finding out inverse DFT, we have generated the sequence that is 1 and all zeros. The sequence is 1 and all zeros, that is x0, x7. This is a sequence, but we have not started from this sequence. We have started from actually a DFT which is having x0, xk, x7, which was all ones. Then from this DFT we have found out this sequence. Then it was expected that everybody of you would have completed the task of what is it, at least now forget about completion of tasks, let us at least try to know today what task was expected to be completed by almost everybody from your end. Are you getting me? Let us discuss today what was the task supposed to be completed by you yesterday. So if at least you are aware about the task which was to be done yesterday, it is more than enough for today. What are the tasks? What was expected out of you? Videographer is an active student of the class. Otherwise, his question in the classroom that he is as if he is a professional videographer and has gone for attending some event in which he is not interested. Inverse of this was done. We did inverse of okay, that was a homework. That was actually, she is right in the sense that it was expected that inverse DFT formula was also to be derived. But ideally that was also expected, but let us have practical situation that one might not have gone for, because for the want of that nothing was prohibiting our further studies. So let us accept that it is not done by you. Then what was expected now regarding this issue? This sequence is considered by us to be comprised of 8 different subsequences. What those were? It seems that a time has come to change the medium of instruction, or to conclude that there is no point in simplifying the things. This sequence was considered, or this sequence was divided into 8 different subsequences such that their summation is the original sequence. What was those subsequences? Those were named as xn. Then this xk we had considered to be comprised of summation of 8 subsequences x0k till x7k. So what x0k was? X0k is a sequence or is a subsequence constructed by us by taking the value x0 from xk and putting other value as 0. So x00 is x0 and x01 to x07 are zeros. So this is x0k can be said to be, here it will come x00 till x07. x00 would be x0, that is 1, and others as zeros, means we will mask off others. Then what would be x1k? X1k would be one would be x1 and others would be 0. Like this we will have x7k. Here obviously you should write x10 and x17, and this x77 would be 1 and others would be 0. And naturally it is not required to state that these sequences add up to this sequence, right? So xk is equal to x0k plus x1k plus x2k up to x7. Then by linearity property of DFT, since inverse of this is this, then if we find inverse DFTs of all these subsequences, those I can term as x0n till x7. Each of them would be an 8-point sequence, and naturally these sequences will sum up to this sequence. So what x01 would be? That is, what x0n would be? What small x0n will be? I have already stated in the last lecture itself that in semester evaluation will significantly consist on understanding of DFT at your end, because in signals and systems or in digital signal processing also, discrete Fourier transform is something which is thinkable and doable. Fourier transform is thinkable and non-doable. And from your point of view, everything is non-thinkable and doable. Means that as you go for examination, means what is the example of non-thinkable and doable things? That our examination, wherein we are not supposed to think but simply act. So now I could not understand whether it means in a nursery class when something is told, it is required that explicit instructions be given for every child for doing something. We are in a graduate class wherein when we talk something, by taking the inference from that talk, students should start acting on it. The question before us is now to find out inverse discrete Fourier transform for x1, x0k. What one? We have to find out x0n from x0k. x0n is an 8-point sequence. Therefore, if you are answering that it is 1 by 8, 19, 24 is what we can say fundamentally wrong. X0n is an 8-point sequence where in every point is a two-dimensional quantity. X0k is also a 8-point sequence where every point can be a two-dimensional quantity. In this case, we are having a special case wherein x0, 0 is 1 and x01 to x07 are zeros. So for this, inverse discrete Fourier transform finding becomes simpler than a general finding. And it is expected that even though you are supposed to be what we can say well competent to find any complex inverse discrete Fourier transform and discrete Fourier transform, at least it is expected that everybody of you must be very easily be in a position to find inverse discrete Fourier transform for this special case. 1 by 10, all zeros. Again, what you are saying is not correct, because you are saying in a hurry or you are saying by intuition while not applying serious thought to the fundamental question asked. Go by first principles. Unless you are expert in finding out something on your own, it is always better to go by first principles. So x0n is equal to summation k equal to 0 to 7 in this case, x0k wn raised to wa raised to minus what? Nk. Even though both k and nk will do, we should have some convention because it is running, k is running rapidly. Now x0k we know that for k equal to 0 only x0k is 1 and it's 0 elsewhere. Therefore x0n will be not summation. x0n will not be summation, but x0n would be a single term, that is w8 raised to what? Only one mistake has taken place. It is 1 byte outside. So it is 1 byte outside, and what? x0k is 1 for k equal to 0 and 0 elsewhere. So it will be a single term for k equal to 0. For k equal to 0, this becomes 1. So it would be 1. So x0n is equal to 1 by 8. Means what? It would be 1 by 8 for 8 times. x0n is not a single value. Therefore, somebody might have accidentally answered to be 1 by 8 and it proved to be correct now. But actually the answer is x0n is equal to 1 by 8, 1 by 8 for all values of x0n are 1 by 8. It becomes independent of n. x0n is equal to 1 by 8 summation k running, but only one term is 1, other terms are 0, so those terms disappear. Those terms disappear and we get simple one. Right? So x0n is 1 by 8 for all values of n from 0 to 7. Based on this, it is expected that you should now compute x1n. And if you are able to compute that, then I will say that we are proceeding at least to a reasonable level. I am sure that all of you must have booked this Sunday to be a DFT Sunday. So we will so rigorously work on discrete Fourier transform that discrete Fourier transform should become a brand name for your class. To earn the brand name of Laplace, the time and energy required to be spent by you is almost infinite, because it is also an infinite transform. Discrete Fourier transform being of finite nature, It comes in your finite perception level. So even Fourier might not have expected that discrete Fourier transform would be simplified to such an extent. What is x1n then? x1n, it is very simple. X, just make changes in the formula as required. x1n is equal to 1 by it is alright. x1n is equal to x1k w8 raised to nk. Now x1k is 1 only for k equal to 1 and 0 elsewhere. Therefore again this summation will go and it would be 1 by 8 w8 k is 1, so minus n. 1 by 8 w8 raised to minus n. What is w8? w8 is n point 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2 z. So if you look at 2D, I hope that your imagination screen might have now expanded suitably so as to always think in 2D. That it is expected that the symbols excite some neuron in our brain in order to think about the symbol. So when you look at the numbers 3, 4, 5, I am sure that you are so tuned to looking at these numbers that the process of exciting and then understanding the meaning has become quite natural, and there is no need now to explain that procedure. So when you look at the numbers, when you look at the pictures, when you look at the words, these create some or other kind of impression within you, and the dimension of the such impression can be multiple, even beyond 3. Suppose if it happens so that you are getting a lecture off and somehow some of friends from you in the same class dials me that it is going to be off lecture, and I suddenly come into the classroom, then it is just beyond imagination that how pleasant surprise you will have. It would be the nature of joy would be infinite in infinite, it would be infinite dimensional matrix with each term tending to infinity. Similarly, I'm sure that you are well matured to decide what is to be remembered and what is to be forgotten. If you are having inverse mapping for that, then God may bless you. Similarly, the moment at which you look at Wn, W8, W4, W16, at that same instant, you should have a 2D picture before you. So this is WA. The moment at which you look at W8, this is W8, you should have well-defined picture, W4. This is W2. W2. What is W1? W1 is hidden. W8, then W16. like that. So you should have, whether you have drawn unit circle on the Wn should give rise to generation of a unit circle on your mental screen with the point specific to n getting highlighted. Means the moment at which you look at W8, if you shut your eyes, means what's the procedure? The moment at which you look at W8, you shut your eyes, and then maybe in some hypnosis, such kind of training must be given. The moment at which you shut your eyes, then you will see a white screen. On that, a black circle. On that first your two axis, then a black circle, and then a red point. The moment at which you look at W8, what should come in front of you is a white screen, black axis, black circle bold, and on that a red point W8 or W16, W4, like this. So once you get this idea, then it becomes very simple. So x1n is 1/8 W8 raised to n minus n. So let us now have n equal to 0. The moment at which n is equal to 0, W8 anything raised to 0 is 1. So W8 raised to 0 is 1, but 1/8 means x10 would be
1/8.
right. This is x10. What would be x11? W8 raised to minus 1. W8 raised to minus 1 means what? W8 raised to minus 1. Minus 1 means it goes on the other side. It goes on the other side. It's very simple. W8 raised to 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. If you go minus 0, minus 1, minus 2, like that. So this is W8 raised to minus 1. And 1/8 of that means, so x10, just if I draw not to the scale, because you can think of a big unit circle. So with respect to that, this would be x10, this would be x11, this would be x12, this would be x13, like that. So what we find is that the sequence x1n is just 1/8 into Wn raised to minus 0, minus 1, minus 2, and so on. So as it is 0, minus 1, minus 2, and so on, so these are the phasors like this, then this one for minus 1, for minus 2, for minus 3, like that. So if you consider one before the other, x10, x11, x12, you can think on the same or like this or like this manner. You should have such a vision that the screen which was white now should become transparent, and you should be in a position to see 3D in such a manner that x00, then just maybe 1 feet next plane, x11, are you getting me? It is like this, x10, x11, x12, x13, x14 till x17. Just like in this manner, you should be able to view all 8 planes one after the other. Means if you, then one may say, so no sir, so what I see, I I see 8 red points. One here, one here. So this will correspond to lack of our visualization. So you should be able to view. Are you getting me? Means that will require means the films available usually are 2D films, in the sense that even though there can be the perception of the screen in the theater is 2D. So for normal 2D pictures, even though there can be a perception of the third dimension like depth, the perception is not clear. Therefore, specific 3D films have been prepared. Those who might be from Kolhapur might have also gone through the Lokmat 3D edition, wherein a separate goggle is given. So on this DFT weekend, we will give you such goggles. With the help of those goggles, you would be able to see beyond. Are you getting me? So I again state that you must be mature enough to carry out the essence by leaving the redundant part out of it. So x00, x10, x1, x10, x11, x12 up to x17. But again there is a problem that we are seeing a red spot. Then it might lead to, even though we try our level best, even though we wear imported goggles, still there would be some problems. So in order to further clarify the visualization, what you would like to see there? What?
Helix.
Helix. What exported? So right now the thing was white screen, black lines, dark black unit circle and red spot. Now let us change the spot from a simple filled circle to what?
3D figure.
What?
3D figure.
Huh? To
3D figure.
no, not 3D. 3D is not that. 3D is in looking the planes one after the other. If I see, means I will prepare plastic sheets on which there is one dot at 0. One at that one means one dot here, one dot here, one dot here. If you put plastic sheets one before the other, then what you will see? What a normal man will see. That is 8 dots on circle. That we are not supposed to see. So for that I will put plastics one here, one here, one here. But still that will create some confusion. What confusion that will create is that 3D viewing is we are stretching ourselves to a maximum elastic limit, and in that if you are asked to further stretch, then there is a chance of plastic deformation that we can't afford. Is he thinking something else? So come out there with the answer. What you will replace the dot, red dot? A red dot would be replaced by what? It is just to be thought over. Tell me suitable replacement for red dot which will further clarify 3D visualization. What that would be? What the problem is that dot is here, the next is here. So I am unable to, I get confused whether this dot is here and this dot is here or vice versa. Means if I do not think, then I see all 8 at the same place. I am trying my level best to see these 8 at different positions, but that is troubling me. I want to reduce the trouble.
Spiral.
I want to reduce the trouble. What it would be? Dots of different colors. He is correct. But again, he is very much correct in the theme. But again, let us compliment him. And we expected that even though many of you are ridiculing him, his contribution cannot be ignored. But there is a problem is that he has means since all 8 were of same, we were getting problem in clarification of visualization. So he has given us the hint that those were different colors. But his solution is creating another problem. What is that? Size? No, that's not problem. Shape may be same. No. His concept of colors means let us fundamentally accept the idea that these should be different, so that I do not get this confusion. But the problem is that in this different, the problem is how to map different colors for sequence numbers. So it should be different, but color is not, no doubt that it's a good solution, but that will further complicate my mapping matrix. So rather than differentiating by colors, we will differentiate it by shape as he said, but what shape we will put? What? Sticks of what? Huh.
They are having different
Magnitudes. Not a bad idea, but we can have something more easy. What it can be? Dots are to be replaced by some shapes, some symbols. Dots are to be replaced by some symbols. Even after this much simplification, if you are unable to think of what a symbol should be, you do not deserve to have your lunch. What?
those points with names,
Why? You are correct, but whether entire should be replaced? Who said that? Right. So we should replace it by index. So it is 0. A red 0 should be there at this position. Then a red 1 should be there at this position, and this screen is here, like this. So you would be able to see like a helix. 0, 1, 0 here. Means I hope now you see what I say. 0 here. At an elevated state of mind, it is said that you may read that literature somewhere. At an elevated, we are having 5 organs by which we can sense various things of various types. If you take your state of mind to an elevated state, then it would be possible for you that all 5 organs can sense all 5 things. Means you can listen with eyes and view from ears. You can refer for this statement in the literature. It is not something I am just bluffing. I do not expect anybody of you to be elevated to that state. What is the reason? I do not want anybody of you should get elevated to that state, because it would not be possible for me to bring him back from there. So let us have a limited thing, means usually the things drawn on the screen are seen. So what I am doing, we are just mapping the sensing capability of organs. I am not asking you to see through ears, but I am asking you to have a mapping to see what I say. Means listen what I say and map it instantly to your eyes so that you see it. So listen carefully. Now you orient yourselves to see what I say. That is 0 here. We can have big screen. We will use that. Otherwise it's of no use. We will have a big axis. Unit circle is much bigger. So x00, so x10, x10, that only I can draw. So you see what I have drawn, and now you see what I see. This is x10, x11, x12, x13, x14, x15, x16, and x17. So x1n, x0n was, it was simple. What that was? x00, x0n
by 8.
18. This is 18. 1 is much beyond. x00, 0, 1, 2, 3. Right? Is clear now? So x0n is clear, x1n is clear. Now x2n. What x2n would be? What would be x2n? You can
0.
W raised to minus 2. W raised to minus 2, no?
0.
x2n would be again very simple. 1/8 summation x2k raised to w8 raised to minus nk, k from 0 to say 1. Again x2k is such that only x22 is 1 and others are 0. So that is equal to 1/8 w8 raised to, what k could be?
Minus 2.
K is 2. So minus 2n, right? W8 raised to minus 2n is equal to W8 raised to 2 raised to minus n. W8 raised to 2 is W4. W8 raised to 2 is W4 and the W4 is here. So W4 is, so it would be 1/8, I think 1/8 we ignore because it is common. So W4 raised to 0 is what? This. Then W4 raised to 1. W4 raised to, sorry, W raised to minus 1.
Minus 1.
0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right? So you look at how the x2n is varying. How x2n is varying. Then x3n, what will happen with x3n? What will happen with x3n? It's w8 raised to 3. w8 raised to 3.
W8 by 3.
So what will be w8 raised to 3? w8 raised to 3. So w8 raised to 3 will become simple. W8 raised to 3 will become this.
3 pi by 4. 3 part.
So yours will be 0, then 1, then 2, sorry, 0, 1, then 2, quarter and half, quarter and half quarter, quarter and half quarter. You did not understand it rapidly because had I said like quarter and 90, you would have 0. This is W8 raised to 3 and we want W raised to minus 3, so it is this. Quarter and 90. Don't jump to Khamba so rapidly. Half is to come here. 0, 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, and 7. Now, x4 and what will happen? It is W8 raised to 4. It is W2, that is half. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like this. Then x5. x5 is half and 90. x5 is half and. So x5 is this. W8 raised to 5. W8. W8 square. W8 cube. W8 raised to 4. W8 raised to 5. And then W8 raised to minus 5 will come. So 0, half and 90. 1. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then W8 raised to 6. X6. What will happen? W raised to 6 is this. It is 3 quarters. W raised to 6 is this. So W raised to minus 6 is this. So 0, 1, 2. Rather than that, it is better 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And for x7, it is like this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, we have been successful in finding out those subcomponents of xn which add up to xn itself such that each of the subcomponent is varying at a unique speed as regards to changing phases, changing direction of the position is concerned. Now we have been successful, and in this case amplitude of each will be 1/8. Amplitude of each will be 1/8 here. Why this is? Because we have taken DFT to be all ones. So we have been successful in defining the subcomponents of xn in such a manner that each subcomponent has got a fixed amplitude. and for index n, it changes its position every time by a given angle. So it rotates at a fixed speed. So each subcomponent is a uniformly rotating phasor. Irrespective of what the total was, we have been successful in expressing full as sum of such parts that each part is having a fixed amplitude and rotates with a constant angular speed. Since sometimes it happens so that you go for some English movie. Nowadays you do not go to theaters because theater has come to your desktop. When you go for English movie, it is expected that we are having such a nurtured high quality English that a very poor quality English from the English movie is beyond our scope of understanding. Therefore, it is never known when the English picture ends.
The end.
आम्ही डबल बघतो काय आपण चायनीज मध्ये बघतो
The end is never written in the English picture. The end is what the title, the end is a legacy of Hindi picture. So you do not come to know that English picture has ended. When the screen is blank, you find something odd. Similarly, when I took a pause after making a long statement that irrespective of the nature of the total signal xn, we have been successful in defining its parts so that the full is sum of such parts wherein each part is having same magnitude and constant angular speed, and after that I ended my statement. And since you are having a same mindset of looking at English picture, as you do not understand the contents and never come to know that the picture has ended, similarly you could not come to understand the significance of my statement, and therefore somebody of you may ask, now what? Anyway. So each of the components in DFT domain, when one is 0, one is 1 and others are 0, or when one is not 1, here it was 1, when all others except only 1 are 0, that component represents the initial position of the phasor. That component explains initial position of the phasor. Now I will add something to it, hoping that you will understand at the end, because it is just like preparing a lion. Unless the lion is constructed full, lion cannot be made alive. So let us have a small exercise. Small in every sense. Small in number of length of the sequence, and small as regards to computations also. So let us have xn is equal to 1, 2, 3, 1. Let's have xn is equal to 1, 2, 3, 1. So what would be xk? What would be xk? So you will compute xk. You will compute xk. After computing xk, xk will consist of x0, x1, x2 and x3, where each of these can be a two-dimensional number, and then we shall construct four subsequences. What those are? x0k, x1k, x2k
0 to 3, huh?
and x3k.
Commission I equals to 0 to 3.
Now we are in a big hotel where 90 is not served. Now we are in a big hotel where 90 is not served. Minimum thing to consume is quarter, because we are getting W4 and not W8. I do not know whether you are able to understand. You have been successful in understanding or not. So what is x0k? x0k is, we will not go to that big hotel. And this will go on YouTube, so it is not to be censored.
e raised to minus.
So now you will find x0, x1, x2, x3 is DFT. Each of them can be a two-dimensional number, a complex number, so that x0k, x1k, x2 and x3k will be there. Now how will you find the inverse DFT of this? This we need not find because this we are knowing. So what would be x0n? x0n would be not summation, because only one is non-zero and others are zero. So x0n would be x0n would be x0 into w4 raised to k0. So it is x0n. x0n is x0 means x0n always consists of into 1/4, obviously 1/4 of this. What would be x1n? x1n would be 1/4 of x1 into w4 raised to minus n. So w4 raised to minus n, w4 raised to minus n in quarter, that is this. w4 raised to minus n is this, and it is multiplied 1/4 at x1. Now if x1 is real, if x1 is one dimensional, then what will happen? If x1 is one dimensional, multiplying this by one dimensional number will take me somewhere from here, maybe on the other side also, if it is negative, means it will take me on the axis. But if x1 is complex, what will happen? If x1 is complex, then that will take me, so if we can say w4 is to 0 is this, w4 is to 0 is this, w4 is to minus 1 is this, w4 is to minus 2 is this, w4 is to minus 3 is this. So if w4 is to 0, let us take x1 0. So w4 is to 0 is this, into 1/4 x1. This into something would have resulted somewhere on this axis if this x1 would have been real. But if this x1 is complex, then 1/4 into this will take me anywhere in the plane. Maybe this one. What this would be? 1/4 into amplitude of x1. And this is the angle of x1. Then what would be x1 1, 1/4 x1n into w versus minus 1. So this would be shifted in the same way like this. So phasor with fixed amplitude, it will rotate with constant speed. Only thing is that initial phase of the phasor would be non-zero. If the component is non-real, if this component is non-real, in that case initial phase is non-zero. Again it's a summation. So we have been successful. Will it be a bold statement to say that we have been successful? Are you getting me? Whether the statement is bold statement or is a real statement, that we have been successful. Bold? Is it bold or a real statement? Let us listen to the statement first. We have been successful in preparing such parts of Xn so that each is having a constant amplitude and constant angular speed, and they sum up to Xn. They sum up to Xn. So these are different frequency components of Xn. These are different frequency components of Xn. So when they sum up, it comes to total. Then when total is applied to some system, it undergoes something which we can't compute. Then it is expected, but since these parts are having a specific thing, they are rotating at a constant speed, it is easy to have a treatment for these parts. So we find ourselves in a comfortable situation to look at the treatment to the parts, so that we come to conclude about treatment for the full. Means is it okay? So the statement that we have been successful is a bold or real? See, now to conclude, I will say that I had tried my level best to simplify. I do not see any avenue where simpler discussion of DFT than this is available to you. So we are making every attempt to oversimplify a highly complicated thing. DFT would be a brand name for you, but only thing is that have a caution while explaining to somebody about DFT, because if you say that oh no, DFT is too simple, then in such situation, unless you are making a statement before a fellow who is mature enough, he will feel that you have not understood anything at all. Means a moderate person knows that DFT is difficult, and if you make a statement that DFT is simple, then he will conclude that you are so poor that you have not at all understood what it is, therefore you are saying it's simple. That's in a pool of donkeys, there is a chance that horse will prove donkey. So be very much cautious in understanding and what we can say, percolating the simple feature of DFT. One,